the lovely Ellie Dawson is here, my co-host for the afternoon. She is one of our designers and content writers, and I'm so happy to have a co-pilot because when we have these, literally, it's like boop, 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 boop.
I try my best to keep the ball rolling.
Yeah.
Thank you, Yvonne. Good to be here. Just an FYI, hi, David. Just an FYI, if you can't stay for this whole broadcast, it's going to be recorded and we'll post it on Facebook and our blog. So have no fear. We will get this to you afterwards. Let's see, anybody else say hello? I think we said hi to everybody, so we can probably get started now that we're 5 minutes after.
Awesome. So today's live chat is brought to you by Mayish Wholesale Florists. Thanks, guys, for coming. We're kicking off our Mayish Design Star Flower Workshop in LA on January 17th. So come and learn from an amazing floral designer, Christy Halsey, design with our luxe Japanese blooms, which are just starting to come into season right now. You get to work with a fab stylist, Tristan Needham. She is amazing. And you'll be taking home gorgeous photographs for your design portfolio and so much more. It's an amazing price. So RSVP, get more details and other information about the cities and dates that we have at mayish.com/MDS workshop. And trust me when I say you don't want to miss this. So hopefully you guys check it out.
It's going to be awesome. We'll be there too. You can meet us in person.
Great. I'll try the Facebook Live thing here in a second once I stop talking, and I'm going to refresh myself. So if I disappear, that is why. But for those people who might have a delay and are watching on Facebook, all the action happens here on Huzza. You can chat. So if you guys see on the right-hand side, there's a chat, there's selfies. We love selfies. Jen, maybe do one for everyone. I know you love it too. The Q&A. So to curate all your guys' questions, we already have a couple up there. But if you have some questions as Eric is talking, go ahead and post them up there. I see some more people coming in. Yeah, there's Jen's selfie. So, okay. Now I want to welcome everyone again. This is our third live video chat. Today we're here with Eric Wu of BloomNation, and we're talking about all about SEO, also known as search engine optimization. As a SEO, product manager, and marketing technologist, Eric has made a career of connecting millions of large brands. Since 2000, he has worked with at scale across a variety of industries for some of the internet's most popular websites, including Pinterest.com, Realty.com, Livestrong.com, just to name a few. And now he's here to help you to educate the floral industry on the importance of SEO and where florists should spend most of their mind share. So we're so excited to have you today.
Thanks for having me on. This is amazing.
Thank you.
So yeah, I thought well, you gave a great bio about me. I think that we have a few slides that I wanted to kind of just set the table to let everyone know, SEO has changed quite a bit throughout the years, and I've been doing it since 2000. And it's kind of crazy to think that it's been around for that long, kind of as long as the web has been around. So kind of wanted to share a few slides. So if you're, obviously everybody uses Google. And over the years, Google has been trying to get smarter and smarter to figure out what you want, right? And ultimately for them, they're trying to figure out how to get the consumer exactly what the consumer is looking for. And so if you do random searches today for anything that's movie related, go ahead, Ellie.
I'm going to get it up, but there's going to be a quick lag. So just hang tight for a second. Here it is.
Okay, cool. So this is just a little bit about me. You can go to the next slide.
Okay, perfect.
We're there. And then these are just some of the companies I've worked at. In the center there is BloomNation. And yeah, and then you can go to the next slide. It's fine.
Okay.
And this is just a little bit about BloomNation. We're a startup, and like all startups, we've raised funds and money from some of the best. So if you're not familiar with the startup space, Andreessen Horowitz is probably one of the most well-known venture capitalists out there. They've basically funded some of the largest brands that you've ever heard of. And so we have very strong backing and strong funding. So when you think of, even though we are a smaller team compared to, some the size of like Google or Facebook, we have some really smart people behind us who are also believing in what we're doing. You can go to the next slide.
Is it there? Oh. Gosh.
There it goes.
So when we think about what we're trying to do at BloomNation, and even just when you think about SEO, we're always trying to think about how to optimize and accelerate the user experience. And so there's been a bunch of studies in the past. So when you think about how your site performs and how fast it goes, it's actually a factor in SEO. So whenever you're selecting whether or not you're using BloomNation or not, right? Whether or not you're talking to Squarespace or to any other website that's out there, any kind of website provider that's out there, you kind of want to know how fast their site is. Because Walmart, they did a test and they showed that if their site is slower by just 0.1 seconds, right? They actually saw a decrease in, they made their site faster by 0.1 seconds and they saw an increase in 1% of their revenue, which is a lot of money for them. For the Obama campaign, they saw an increase in 14% donations. For Amazon, they calculated that for every second that their site is slower, they'll lose $1.6 billion every year. So the fact of the matter is that you're always trying to look for a platform that is fast because that's also going to help with SEO. We can go to the next slide. And then the next slide, that's just like SEO, there's a lot of stuff that goes along with it. So if you do a very basic search today and you're looking for like Clint Eastwood filmography or any kind of movie related thing, you'll see that Google's now putting more and more things into the search results. It's no longer just like those 10 blue links and trying to get #1, because if you're in the movie space, now all of a sudden you have all these images that are at the top of the results that are kind of pushing you down. So it's trying to understand where you stand. So if you go to the next slide, I just have a few more examples of these things. So here it's like, if you search for how do you make chocolate chip cookies, Google's trying to give you exactly what you're looking for and trying to solve that user's need. Let's go to the next slide. And then they're also very much mobile first. So when you're also looking at any platform and when you're thinking about SEO, you want to make sure that mobile is a priority for that platform. It should look good when you get to that website on your phone. Google stated in the past year that more than 50% of their users, of the people who visit google.com, are now on their mobile device, which is a huge shift. And for years now, Google has been saying that they're a mobile first company. And recently in the SEO space, in basically the past week, actually, Google's announced that they are rolling out their mobile first index. So in the past, if you were trying to rank in the mobile space, it was all about your desktop experience. They would still rank you based on where you were ranking on the desktop. Now they're actually going to take into consideration your mobile experience as well as the content that you show on in your mobile site. So being responsive or having a mobile specific web page or website is now even more important. You can go to the next slide. And then on top of it, there's more and more people doing kind of voice-based search, and Google and Apple and Amazon are trying to get smarter. So now you can kind of start thinking that people aren't always going to be going to google.com or bing.com or even just searching from their phones anymore. They might be talking to their Amazon Echo in the near future, or just ask Siri. And a lot of times these kind of what they call intelligent assistants are no longer showing you 10 results. So part of it is even more important to be at the top of those results or be a really good alternative to what they're thinking is the best result. So if you can go to the next slide. Again, another example, they're trying to just solve what things are about. And this is kind of an example of Google understands now that when I say like, how far is the Eiffel Tower from me? it knows where I am. I don't even have to say Los Angeles. It's basically saying, I think you're in Los Angeles because I know where you are. And Eiffel Tower is that far from you. In the next slide. And so the whole point of this is you need to kind of, when you're doing SEO, especially if you're doing SEO on your own and you're not utilizing a platform that already bakes all that stuff in, you basically want to think of it in 3 different ways. One, they're very much a multi-device type of experience. So you have to optimize for mobile, as I said, but also for these other new devices that are coming out from voice search and whatnot. From an algorithmic standpoint, a lot of people talk about Google algorithms, the PageRank algorithm, and just basically everything that's built on. And a lot of times this can be a very scary thought. And really the way to think about it is you have to think about Google as a big statistical machine. And what I mean by that is that they have tons of PhDs and tons of mathematicians there that are trying to do very smart things that in a mathematical type of way. And you just need to kind of know that, because the way that I like to think about SEO is that it's kind of like a bear race. If there's a bear chasing the 10 of us that are on page 1, I don't necessarily need to be faster than that bear. I just need to be slightly faster than my competitor so that I don't get eaten by that bear. And it's that small differences that you can make to your site to move you from position 5 to position 1 in the search results. And when you do so, it's a dramatic increase in your overall traffic as well as your overall revenue. So moving from like position 5 to position 1 can actually triple your overall revenue for that particular phrase. Let's move on to the next slide. So this is kind of like an example of a way to, I'm going to walk through a series of different searches, and then what I'm going to show you is kind of how to think about SEO without having to think about the algorithm, right? You're trying to solve for what Google engineers are trying to solve for. And so in this case, I'm looking for what are smart light bulbs. These are newfangled things. I'm not sure what they are. And Google's like, oh, here's an answer right at the top, right? And it kind of gives you a little bit of text. And from a Florist standpoint, if you're thinking about your blog content or anything that you might want to write, you might want to be writing these things that kind of tell people about how to take care of their flowers after they've purchased them. How long do flowers last? And kind of write them in this sort of manner where it's an answer that a person can find. And then so if you go to the next slide, I'm just highlighting that one section. Go to the next slide. And then so if you look at the 3 results that are on this page, they're all what we call informational queries. They're all kind of content that Google's like, hey, I think you're looking for information, not necessarily to buy because of what the user's typing in. So let's go to the next slide. And then so now that I know that it's kind of like a smart light bulb, I want to look for reviews. That's your natural next thing that you want to do. And so here we are with reviews. If you go to the next slide, I think it's just highlighting, again, it's more informational stuff. You can kind of think, if I'm a person who's trying to buy this, that's what I'm looking for. Yeah, let's go to the next slide. And then so here's like the Philips Hue starter kit. I've read the first result. I'm like, okay, I need the Philips Hue starter kit. I'm looking for that. Now at this point, when you're looking at the search results, Google is kind of indicating to you that you think that you want to buy something, right? So that's why it's showing you kind of shopping listings at the top. So if you click the next slide, it'll highlight the next area. So this next area below, though, is still informational. This is actually the official Philips Hue website where they talk about their particular devices. They're not actually selling anything on those pages in particular because Google's not quite sure, are you looking to buy or are you still just doing your research? Okay, let's click on the next slide. And then now I'm at the point where like I've done my research, I looked at all the reviews, I'm like, I want to buy it. And so as soon as I say buy Philips Hue starter kit, everything on the search result is now all about purchasing. So things that we look at when we're looking at when we're thinking about BloomNation specifically in our platform and how we bake SEO in, is that we know that the word flower delivery or buy flowers or flowers online, these are very transactional terms. These are very much terms that Google believes users want to purchase from there. And we also know that that's the place that you want to optimize, because we want to get to those users and send them to our florists when they're at that point of purchase. So those are the things that we're truly trying to optimize when we're trying to increase the revenue. Now, it's not all about revenue, and we also take into consideration the informational type of queries and like the research type of queries, but this is really what drives the needle for a florist's business. Let's go to the next thing. This is basically just, so I also gave this talk to a bunch of artificial intelligence scientists and training them on kind of how to think about SEO. But this is basically, this is kind of what Google's doing in the background. They're doing a bunch of different math and they're doing a bunch of calculations. Let's skip over this. And so I'm back at the original query. So if I'm starting off and saying, what are smart light bulbs? This is how we kind of think of our experience. So let's go to the next slide, and this will be a diagram that kind of describes what we're trying to do at BloomNation. So that top part is kind of what we did. We searched for what are smart light bulbs. We looked at reviews. We went to the Philips website. We looked at the starter kit, and then we eventually bought. And what we're trying to do, and what Google's trying to do, is trying to figure out what is the best site for me to send this user to. And if you're in the blue section where someone comes and looks for, how to take care of my flowers, or what is the best floral delivery service in my area, and they arrive at your site, and on your site, they can search for reviews, they can look at the reviews, they can do the research, they can fulfill everything that they need to without going back to Google, and they're ready to buy at that point. What you're signaling to Google is that your site is now a superior experience because you're solving all these things that normally a user would have to go back to Google for. Now you would imagine, you would say, well, doesn't Google want you to continue to use Google? And to some extent, yes, the more searches that you do on Google, the better it is for them from their money perspective. But they fundamentally have a thought process that if I can send users to the best place for what they're looking for, then I'm going to retain that user from now into the end. So I don't have to worry about competitors like Yahoo or Bing, because users are going to continue to use my site, my search engine, if I send them to the best places. As soon as you start sending them to bad places, you're going to start questioning whether or not you want to use Google anymore. So if you can think about your own site and your own experience and the own content that you create, think about how you would naturally search for, as a consumer looking to get flowers or an arrangement, or even if it's like a wedding event, things that naturally people are going to ask themselves and type into Google. And if you can create content and you can create information that gives the user that information, then now Google is going to rank you higher without you having to do some of these other like shady SEO things like link building or keyword stuffing, and all these other things. So let's move on to the next slide. And this is kind of just like an overview of a lot of the different things. These are bigger buckets, but these are a lot of things that we consider when we're talking about SEO. Everything from the foundational stuff of the technical SEO stuff, as well as your content, and then your user experience at the top. And ultimately that piece at the top, that thing that I talked about, is the thing that's really going to help you rank from position 10 to position 1. Let's move to the next slide. Next slide. So basically, the thing here to just kind of highlight is that we do a lot of A/B testing, and it's actually really hard to do that with SEO. So I would imagine that a lot of also florists are looking at hiring different SEO firms and agencies, and knowing and being able to ask those questions to validate those SEO agencies is something that you need to know. And you should always ask, how are you testing if you're a florist talking to an SEO agency, how do you test for SEO? How do you know when something, some SEO impact has actually taken place? And a lot of times, a lot of agencies will tell you, oh, you know, it's going to be about 3 to 6 months, and you're not really going to be able to see it. You'll get more money, you'll get more traffic, but honestly, in the end, you really won't know if they're not doing it right. So let's click on to the last slide here. And this is basically kind of our secret sauce that we're actually using from Google. And it's a little daunting now that's like a graph and chart and stuff, but let's just focus in on that top chart, that the dark black line. Now, we're using basically a Google-made analytics system, and this is not Google Analytics. This is basically what their PhDs created. And what we're doing is we're using that system, which is designed to understand how impactful a marketing effort was, or an SEO effort. So what you're seeing here is the black line is the actual traffic of the site. And then that dotted vertical line that comes straight down the middle, that's when an SEO change had been made. So the dotted blue line underneath that is what Google is predicting would have happened if nothing had happened before. So in this particular case, if you made an SEO change on that dotted gray line that's coming vertically down, you're seeing a tremendous increase in traffic compared to if you did nothing at all. And this is basically how we're doing a lot of our measurement. We know that it's extremely difficult to do testing with SEO. And this is basically kind of the testing methodology that I've shown Pinterest, I've shown a lot of large companies from cars.com to Edmunds.com. They're all utilizing this stuff now. So let's jump out of the I don't know if we should, hello. Before we get into like the next section where I can kind of dive in more into some of our sites and show you kind of what we do. I don't know if we should address some of the questions right now, or if you guys want to hold that off to the end.
Let me jump in. You might have a better idea of when to answer this question. So we just have one at the moment. Anne says, I'm hoping you'll be able to shed some light on the varying levels of SEO importance in alt text, file names, and captions, as well as any formatting issues that make a difference, such as to underscore or not to underscore. So if that's now or later.
Yeah, let's just address that right now, just so that I can make sure that we get to that. So alt text, file names, and captions are very important for your images. Although Google now has artificial intelligence that can basically understand what's in the photo, for them to use all their computers to understand all the images is expensive for them, meaning like they have to spend a lot of time to do it. So you giving that information ahead of time and being explicit with Google, telling them exactly what it is actually very important. File names for images are actually one of the few times Google actually pays attention to that file name. Things like naming your CSS files or JavaScript files, Google really doesn't care, but with images, that's where they do care. So I would spend the time to make sure that you do put alt text, that you do put, make sure your file names are fine. And then if you can add captions, great. In the end though, it's that small little thing, right? So like, it's not gonna fundamentally change your SEO rankings, but if Google's trying to evaluate you from position 3 to position 2, and you have the alt text and your competitors don't, and all the things are equal, then Google's gonna say, you win, right? So doing those small little things are helpful. Now, if you're gonna spend hours and hours and hours doing this, I would say you're better off using your time elsewhere. And you should utilize a platform that will basically do these things for you. From our perspective with our platform, it's sometimes of a struggle for us because we are reliant on Florists to provide us that information. And a lot of times it's within the descriptions, and then we basically take the descriptions and we automatically place that into the alt text. If someone doesn't write a really great description, then that kind of gets lost in that mix. As far as underscores and not underscores, for the most part, you don't want to use underscores. Google will eventually understand the words that are separated if you use underscores, but it takes them longer. The reason being is that if you know anybody who does code and does any kind of engineering work, when you use an underscore, it means something very different than when you use a dash. And because Google was founded on a code-based search initially, that's where they give preference to. So it's kind of like minutia in some ways. So it's basically better to use dashes when you can, and then underscores if you really need to.
And that's
Good
great.
stuff.
And Allie and I both started smiling because we just got a message from Jen, and we're working on updating our image files and our flower library. And she was like, "Oops, I use underscores, so now we're going to start using dashes."
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
So
we
let's
don't
jump in.
Oh yeah,
go
no
ahead.
more questions, but if everyone sees in the upper right, you can ask any more throughout. So we'll be paying attention if you have any more questions for Eric. So
Right, and please ask me questions, because I mean, I can talk about, their SEO is extremely broad. I can talk about all kinds of things, but if I can answer a question that you're dealing with right now, I hope I can do that. So let's jump in and let's do like a quick Google search. I don't know, hopefully you can screen share, because I'm still not sure how to do that.
let's see.
Hey, Eric, if you can try, it's the little on the.
That's what I told him beforehand.
Oh,
You
but
might
Yeah,
not.
I don't have anything on the left. I think as a.
Okay, let
Oh,
me
okay.
get a page up. Tell me what to type in, and then I will share it. Or should I go into a screen share, and then you can tell me what to type in?
Yeah, if you screen share, and then you can just go to Google.
Okay. It's gonna lag for just a sec.
While we're waiting for Eric, I can talk about a little bit. I'm echoing again too. We redid our website recently. I don't know if you guys have seen it or not, but Eric was talking about earlier how long something takes to load compared to the revenue that you can generate from your website. And it was a lot of back and forth between our developers, like our tech guys, and the quality of the picture that we wanted to post, trying to get our file sizes down and the page size down. It was really so it's hard sometimes to manage that balance, that's for sure.
One good trick that's not necessarily particularly SEO, but especially with Facebook and Twitter, they like to have very high quality images, right? Especially given that most people use Facebook on their new fancy iPhone 7 that has like a super awesome Retina display, blah, blah, blah. And they need really high quality images. Otherwise, it doesn't look so great. Now,
Right.
from your development standpoint, they're like, no, that's too big. Don't put that on the website. However, there's a tag called open graph tags that are just basically for bots to see. And you can put them in your HTML, and then you can give them the URL to your really high res photo. And at that point, Facebook and Twitter, when they're displaying that, which is not an impact to your own website, can show the really high res photo. And then so when the user comes to your website, you can still have that fast, simple experience.
Ooh, I love that. Thank you. Little detour.
Okay.
Now we're backing up and running.
Sorry, that was my fault. Let me try the screen share again. Here we go. There's always a lag. Come on.
Yes.
And so what I was saying as that loads up is that, anything to help, some of what we're going to dive into. So like you can search designs by David. What I'm going to do is dive into our secret sauce of how we actually do SEO for our florists. And part of this is just search for designs by David. Don't go to the website. Yeah. Okay. And part of this is like, it's competitive information. Yes. And it's something that like, in this bear race, I'm basically kind of shooting myself in the foot to some extent. But if I can help any florists out, whether they're on our site or not, I think that's really where my passion lies. It's really around small businesses. So when I was running growth and product for yellowpages.com, I thought I was helping small businesses, but I quickly learned that we are basically just a marketing revenue engine. And that's kind of why I left yellowpages.com. But you know, I feel like if we can do something better, even if I'm showing you how to do SEO better for your own site that's not on BloomNation, all the better for the industry. So interesting, your search results are different than what I would normally see.
Oh, I wonder if Ellie, you
Is it because I'm in Seattle? Should I log out?
on your little face, I think you can change the results so it's more, it's not personalized.
Sign out, do you think?
No.
I think that's fine. So if you just click onto Designs by David, that first result.
That top one? Okay.
So you'll notice, like, even at the very, very top in the Chrome tab, where at the very top, not even the website, it says Los Angeles Florist. I think, I mean, that's pretty common. People will see that. But again, we're trying to optimize for is very much kind of transactional activities. So we're saying Los Angeles Florist, we're using the word flower delivery. And then we're also trying to create a very unique experience on our site. Now, if you can scroll down a little bit, you can see, you know, a lot of this stuff is somewhat standard as far as, like, we have photos and we have images. But if you keep on going down, you'll notice that, and just like pause right there at the map, other sites that you'll look at, they'll start doing like kind of like this gross footer that has all these keywords in there. And to be honest, although it's not supposed to work, and we did test it, like from a Google perspective, and this is where like you can get to Google myths and kind of like misinformation that's out there. If you talk to someone at Google, they'll tell you that, oh, don't put a lot of keywords in your footer. That doesn't really do anything. It's not going to help you. However, we did a test, and when we tested it, we realized that those words actually do matter, but they created a really poor experience. So what we did is we reworked everything. And so what we kind of start to think through is that user experience. We said to ourselves, what do most users want when they're looking for a florist, especially if they're looking for a florist by name? We're going to give them the map, the contact information, kind of give them a sense of where this location is. If you're local to the area, you'll say, oh, I know that exactly. If you're not local to that area, you can start zooming out of that map, and then you can see in context, is this person near me or not? And so in this case, we're trying to solve for that improved user experience to improve the SEO, not necessarily just the words on the page. And if you keep on scrolling down, there's the About Us section. So again, we kind of like the About Us section on most sites is hidden into another page. We asked ourselves, like, how do we improve the user experience, especially given that most people are not necessarily going to want to have to click, especially when you think about mobile first. Clicking and waiting, it's really kind of a drag. It's really easy and really effortless to just scroll. And so if you look at this on a mobile site or on your mobile device, it's really a nice experience. And in this case, if you're a consumer and if you're not familiar with Designs by David, that you can kind of learn a little bit more about them. And ultimately what we're trying to do is we're trying to establish and build trust with the consumer about what the florist is about. So we encourage a lot of our florists to kind of put information in here that kind of is more unique to them, why they are notable, or why they why a customer would actually care. And then in this next section here, you can see that we put the recent reviews on there. And for all of our reviews that we have on our platform, we don't allow anybody to just randomly review. That's basically Yelp's model, and you know, if you can either have a positive feeling or a negative feeling about Yelp. But in every single one of our cases, we only allow people who have purchased to actually leave a review. And in some cases, if they didn't have a great experience, we make sure that our customer service team actually reaches out, or we work with the florist to reach out to that sender to make sure that there's some way of rectifying it or resolving it. And the person who goes in there, the person leaving the review, can actually update the review. We try not to like manipulate the situation in any way. We want these to be 100% authentic. And this is one, yes, it's great for SEO in the perspective of, we're adding some keywords to the page, but really what we're trying to do is, again, establish trust, because if we can get that user to feel good about the site, they're not going to hit the back button. They're not going to kind of shop around, go to the next result, and look for another florist. They're basically going to transact right here and there. And if you scroll down further, you can see a lovely picture of David Mark. He's a wonderful guy. He needs to add a little bit more description about himself, but this also, again, provides credibility. And then, here's your social buttons at the very bottom. And then below that is your kind of like the keyword kind of thing that actually does drive a good amount of information. Ideally, we wouldn't have this here, but we feel like we've put it in a format that is a little bit more visually appealing. And if you really are a user who's looking for these kind of services or understanding where else they deliver, this can be useful. So let's do a different type of search. And hopefully this will come up.
What happens? Yeah.
Why don't you search for Mark's Gardens?
With an S,
or
it's
Mark's
just
Garden,
Mark's
yeah,
Garden,
that's
right?
fine.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people know who Mark's Garden is.
Yes, he's one of our longtime customers.
So here's something that you're now seeing. So like I mentioned before and in the slides before, SEO has changed quite a bit. And on that right side, this is what Google calls the knowledge panel. And what it's trying to do is it's trying to solve a very particular need. It thinks that you want to know information about a local business. And in this case, they show you a photo, which we basically tell Google about. So there's a bunch of like additional SEO code that we put in each of their websites to kind of give Google more information. We also put in kind of this code to tell Google exactly when they're open and closed. And you can see now like reviews from the web. BloomNation is a trusted source of reviews from, and these are all verified reviews, right? So we actually have the highest review count as well as the most accurate review for the performance of their customer base. And you notice that Yelp's not in here, or some of the other aggregators, they're not in here either. We've done something in the way where we've convinced Google that, hey, like our reviews are indeed valid reviews. They're not made by some, malicious person, or even like the florists themselves just pumping up their own review. I mean, it happens, right? And so this provides us credibility, but also provides a way for the florist to get added benefit by the activity that's happening on their site. I want to then next dive into kind of what not to do and what I see that's common out there. So if you can search for Van Nuys flower delivery or Van Nuys florist, either way it would work. Yeah.
Did that work, or do you want the
flower
flower delivery?
And right to like, where all the organic stuff starts. So there's Van Nuys Florist, which is a BloomNation florist at the very top. And then I'm looking for maybe like, it's like SF Valley. Okay,
There
so
it is.
like
I
if you
see it
see
right there.
Next
in
page.
position 7, right? If you click on that, which
Sorry.
Valley, it's the like kind of third or fourth from the bottom.
Where am I?
Yeah, Van Nuys Florist Valley Flowers.
This one. Okay. I was looking for the SF. There we go.
So This is very common with florists as we work with them, and especially as they move from platforms like, you see here, like this is a Teleflora florist, or at least it's advertising Teleflora. A lot of florists get kind of tricked by these SEO companies that say, hey, we'll drive you a lot more traffic. We'll do this SEO stuff. You don't have to think about anything at all. Don't worry about it. You don't even need to change code on your site. We'll handle it all. And this is basically what they're doing. Now, what you're seeing here is what I would say is not a very attractive site. It's keyword stuff with a lot of stuff. And this is actually not a florist website. It's an SEO built site. And any of these links that you click on will go to a florist. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to trick Google. And in this case, it ranks in the 7th position. But this kind of activity gets called out really, really quickly. Basically, what Google calls this, and you can Google like this term, but it's called a doorway page. And they've effectively built a doorway site. And if you look for that terms of that term, you'll see a lot of documentation from Google that says, don't do this. This can get your site banned. This can be very, very bad for your business. And it's easy for Google to kind of pick this out. They're like, oh, we see this site, and I can show you 10 other domains that look literally exactly like this site that's trying to game the system. And Google doesn't like that. And you can put you in a really bad penalty box. So actually the florist that it links to ranks really poorly because of this. And in this way, you're continuing to pay an SEO company to build these gross looking sites. And this site is designed to confuse a user. Basically, the way it's designed is to drive your eyes into the middle of the page, because there's so much junk going on. As a user, you land on this page, you're like, I need to get out. Oh, floral arrangements, that's kind of what I was looking for. I'm gonna click, right? And it'll take you to that web page. I don't want you to click on anything on here. But basically, if you have an SEO company that's coming to you and asking you to do these type of things, I would run away very, very quickly. We've had problems with even some of our own florists that we advise. They're like, oh, I've got an SEO company, and which we're fine with working with. We feel that we do a good amount of the technical SEO things, and there's things that you can continue to do, but which I'll dive into. But don't do this, for goodness sake, because this stuff, like we've seen it where we had a florist that was doing really well, and they had an SEO company that did this for them. It drove them traffic for about 2 to 3 months, and it was more traffic, but no conversions, right? There were no actual transactions from it, very, very few. And then on top of making their data more messy for us to figure out what's actually going on, they ended up getting penalized in a way where basically they stopped showing up in that local result. You had to zoom in all the way to their particular spot to see them. And so they lost a lot of actual regular orders from real people that wanted to buy. So this is something that I would avoid like the plague. There are things that you can do, and let's just look at, let's just go back to Designs by David. Just to have something, or we don't need the screen share anymore. I can just talk to this. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Okay, hold on just one second.
So there are things that you can do that are more beneficial to your site. And one of the things that we don't necessarily do, especially as a larger platform, and a lot of the other big platform providers don't do this either, is kind of get the word out about your site. So links are still very important to Google. And although you'll have an SEO company come to you and we'll build you links and they'll charge you $100 to $300 a link, it's not really worth your time. And a lot of times the link that they're getting is really not a great link, and they'll also get you penalized. What you really want to do is spend your time with your local community, engage, network, find other people, find even if you are a storefront, if you've got other people in the community, if you're part of the Chamber of Commerce, ask for a link there. You're supporting that area, and also you want people to be able to discover you. Reach out to your local newspaper. We have a PR person here at BloomNation that basically goes through and tries to find PR mentions for a lot of our florists. Gotham Florist in New York, we gotten her a lot of press in the past, and she's grown quite a bit, not just through us, but also, she's an excellent designer. So, but at the same time, those things dramatically increase your SEO impact. By having a few more links than your competitors, especially if you're in a smaller space, that can be dramatic. So those are things that you should concentrate on. You should also concentrate on, which I think a lot of people kind of discount, is that just like spending a little bit of time to write, better descriptions around your products, tell people what's actually in there. I mean, visually they can see it. And especially florists who are expert in their own field, they know the names of all the flowers, and assume that some people that the consumer knows. But really, if someone's looking for something like, honestly, until I started in the floral industry, I didn't really know what a ranunculus was. I was like, isn't that, someone showed me a picture, I'm like, isn't that a rose, right? And so those kind of things, I started talking to friends, and friends are like, oh yeah, I love ranunculus. Like if, my husband or my boyfriend bought me those, that'd be great, right? And I'm pretty sure that their boyfriends don't know how to search for that word, right? So if knowing that kind of thing, and someone looks at the description and goes, oh yeah, that's what they like, or the person wants on the other end, that's basically what you're trying to do and optimize for in that case, because that one person's really engaged looking for that one designs is going to purchase. So you don't need to drive a lot of traffic for those type of things.
Cool.
That's great information. I do have a couple of questions for you, Eric.
Yeah, go for it.
One is not for you. I had a couple people ask if we're going to be have a replay available later, and we will. This will be posted up on our blog. I'm just going to edit it out, get rid of some of the stuff at the beginning and the things that happen in the middle, and then we'll put out a nice clean version of this. So just look for that. It'll probably be up on the blog tomorrow. The next question is from Emily. She wants to know, does an active blog on a website help with SEO?
So it can. It's more about consistency, right? So if you have a blog and you post once every few months, probably it's not going to help all that much, especially initially. If you're blogging about things we had bloggers here at BloomNation, and we write content on our fairly regular basis, and we've written about the meaning of flowers, what colors mean, and those actually do fairly well because users are looking for it. Now, in the end, you have to ask yourself, why do you want to blog, right? If you want to blog to share information about the industry, you're going to be attracting a different type of user than a person who's going to purchase, right? So you have to think about the topic that you want to talk about, but I think ultimately it can help, right? A lot of florist websites don't have a lot of content for Google to latch onto, and that's also why those footer type of gross looking footers actually quite work, because there's not a lot of content for Google to grab onto. So if you give them more information, it'll be helpful. But if you're not going to be consistent about it, if it's only going to happen every now and again, I don't think it's really worth your while, because that's basically also what Google is looking for. They're coming back to your site on a frequent basis. They're going to see, are you updating this thing? I would say a healthy pace would be probably one blog post every 2 weeks. It can be quite a bit if you consider how much time and thought and effort goes into that. But if you can do once every 2 weeks, and you can do it on a consistent basis, I wouldn't say that you're going to see payback in a short term, but over a period of a year, if you're consistent about it, that can pay huge dividends thereafter.
That's great. And just from another perspective, I know our business is a little bit different than retail flower shop, but we definitely do blog and believe in it, and it really helps with our inbound marketing. a little bit with the SEO, that's for sure. We show up and people end up visiting us because of some of our content. But, you know, just trying to find those topics that your customers really want to know and what they're going to be searching for and figuring that out. It's just, and again, what Eric said about being consistent, we do it several times a week. You know, I'm not saying that's what you need to do, but that's kind of the bar that we've set for ourselves. So thanks, Eric. I have one more question. I know we're kind of running out of time, but this is from Ryan O'Neill. He wants to know, so St. Louis Wedding Florist is the easy one to know that our brides look for. Is there a tool that can help us know all related searches that brides are looking for?
That's a good idea. So there are a lot of, let me just even just Google this, St. Louis Wedding Florist, St. Louis Wedding Florist. The great thing is Google kind of tells you at the bottom of that Google search result, you'll see links and words that say searches related to St. Louis Wedding Florist. In this case, it says Wildflowers Florist, which is probably a particular florist. Wedding Flowers at St. Charles, Belly Flory, Always in Bloom Street. So these are a lot of like names of florists. There are a bunch of tools out there like Google Trends, which is also free. Google has this thing called Google Trends. And if you put in that term, it'll show you kind of related terms around that, what's trending, what's hot. There are other tools, which is a great parlay into kind of like our list of tools that I can share, is that we use a tool called Semrush, SEMrush. And although it's not the best tool for florists, I would say like it's a better tool for really large publishers or some larger sites. It can give you an insight into not only what it thinks that people are searching for your site, but if you're looking at competitors, not even in your local area, but if you know of another florist, even like Mark's Gardens, you can actually see marksgardens.com. What are they actually ranked for? What are the keywords that people type in to find them? Or if there's a wedding events florist that is near you or that you know of, you can also look to see like how are they ranking. And those are usually better indicators of kind of like what people are searching for and what they're looking for. Now, all that being said, honestly, you and your community of people or even your clients are better sources of that information. You should just ask them. You know, if you're going to Google and you're trying to look for me, or you're trying to look for a wedding florist, or what did you actually Google? Those are way more valuable, because in this world of new Google, where they understand a whole lot more, you don't necessarily need the exact phrase. You can search for, you'll notice if you search for like floral delivery or floral, like even the word floral in Google, it'll start highlighting the word flower, flowers, florist, flower shop. It knows kind of like that synonym space, what's actually related. And so if you're asking real users or your clients what they're searching for, that's a better place to start than some of these tools. But these tools can kind of give you a kickstart if you're not able to access or be able to talk to your clients in the short term, like if you want to do it on your own. Other tools and other things that I think that people should read. So if you want to learn more about SEO and be just a little bit more educated, moz.com, moz.com is a great resource. They have everything from beginners to advanced stuff. So even if you wanted to send your developer there, tell them that's actually a great resource. They don't actually write all the stuff themselves. There's really a lot of smart industry folks who put a lot of the content on there. If you have someone who's in-house who's doing more marketing, or even you're just trying to vet SEO agency, if they're not reading searchengineroundtable.com or seroundtable.com, they really don't know the industry that well, because seroundtable.com is where is really the only place to get breaking updates on anything that's going on in the SEO industry. It's not the fanciest looking site, but the guy who runs it, he goes to every single conference. He's in touch with everybody. He's got access to lots of different people's accounts, and so he knows exactly what's going on at all times. And then the last one there is Search Engine Land, or yeah, Search Engine Land is a great place also to kind of find news related stuff as well as like how to type of information. And then as far as like tools that you can use, if obviously it's not necessarily an SEO tool, but Google Analytics is an awesome tool. And configuring your Google Analytics is something that we actually do here, and we dive into it. I don't expect a lot of people to do that, but if you have a developer, you want them to kind of look at your Google Analytics. Google Search Console, or also known as Webmaster Tools, Bing also has their own set. This is a great resource. So if you validate your site with Google Search Console, what you can actually do is look at the actual keyword phrases that Google says people are coming to your site about. So you don't actually have to use a third-party tool like Semrush, or you don't even have to ask your clients. Google actually explicitly tells you, these are the words that people have typed in to get to your site. This is where we think you rank. This is how many people saw it, and so on and so forth. It's an excellent tool that is provided by the search engines, which they actually don't have to do, and they actually do a great job about it. And lastly, if you really want to get technical and you really want to dive in, or you want to just kind of like kind of do an audit of like the work that's being done to your site, Screaming Frog it's a silly name, but it's a tool that a lot of people in the industry use. It's a fairly robust tool, but you can run it in the cloud, or you can run it on your local PC or Mac. And I think the first 500 pages is free. Like you can run 500 pages all day long for free. And I think most florist websites don't grow beyond too much beyond that. Some of our sites are a little bit larger because of the things that we optimize for. But that's actually a great tool that you can kind of, if you learn a little bit about it, you can learn like, okay, you've got the same title tag everywhere. That's not a great thing. It'll highlight those kind of things, like the small improvements that you can actually make.
That's great. Thank you. Did you want to talk a little bit about BloomNation and David?
Sure. If you're looking to learn more about BloomNation, you can go to bloomnation.com/ and I will pull it up because I don't really remember what it is. I think it's sell-flowers.
Yeah, we'll put up
so
the
we use
link.
dashes there. And so you can actually learn more about becoming, about our platform, how we look at things. Also, if you're not interested in moving your website anytime soon and you just want to learn more, we have a great resource center, which is /resource center. And there, like, we have articles about how to do SEO a little bit better, as well as just everything in general. It's not necessarily specific to our platform. And the last thing is I want to introduce David Schwartz, which is he's one of our outbound reps. He basically travels the countries to go meet a lot of you florists, and I just want to let him introduce himself.
Hey, David.
You need the headphones? Yeah, they can hear you.
Well, David's
hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Sorry, we're on mute now, but I just want to make sure everyone can hear me okay. Hello, everybody. How are you today? I just wanted to introduce myself. I know Eric has been going over how we can help and let people understand exactly how search engine. Pause. Give me the headphones. Sorry about big ears. Sorry about that, everybody, for the technical difficulties. I know Eric just kind of went over everything that is important in terms of search engine optimization. I just wanted to briefly introduce ourselves and what we are trying to do to work with florists around the country. Along with kind of what he went over, our goal when working with florists and partnering with them is to kind of help them take full control of their online business again. Obviously, the search engine optimization is one of the biggest parts of helping you not only be found and relevant beyond just the town that you live in, but also all of the various zip codes, cities, and towns that you deliver to. And not to mention that, but as well as all the various keywords that are related to flower buying, anything at all to do with the act of someone in need of flowers. For us, we are a company, as Eric says, that travels all over the US to introduce ourselves in person to people and kind of go over exactly what we do to partner with florists all over the US to not only help them take control of their online business, but make sure that that online business is not being controlled by that third party. Because as I'm sure many of you would agree, you do not let your store be owned by a third party. So why would you allow your website, which is becoming one of the fastest growing parts of your business, to also be controlled? So the reason for me being on this call and also having this little ribbon over here is that we are going to be traveling all across the country in 2017, and we'd love to be able to come visit wherever florists think that they might need our help or our advice. For us, just quickly on about the way we work is we are very different from other third parties, and I'll say wire services in general, where we believe that this is a full partnership. We have no setup fees. We actually build you a full customized website, start the SEO and the marketing, also include a free photo shoot for every one of our partner florists free of charge. We have no monthly fee and we have no contract. This all goes within the belief that we are partners. You are not a BloomNation florist that other third parties would call you, but this is a full-on partnership. We also have no contract. The point of the no contract is if you're not happy with the service we're providing you, and as you can see from the way Eric was explaining how in-depth we understand search engine optimization to help you be found and relevant, is if you're not happy with this partnership, you can leave at any point. But obviously, we've been successful and have over 900 plus partners because we've been able to help them not only improve their business, but also help them become found and relevant when people are searching online for whatever it has to do in terms of buying flowers. So I wanted to quickly just give my cell phone number in case anybody wanted to reach out to us with either more questions about how either BloomNation works or how we can help you grow your business in general. So that is 516-445 8560. Just going to repeat that again. It is 516-445-8560. And my name is David. And if you have any questions or would maybe like us to come and visit, as we are probably expecting to be in about 30 different cities in 2017, please feel free to reach out to me and we would love to try to set up either a time for us to come and visit you or maybe to have a conversation over the phone of how we can help you continue to not only help your business, but grow your business to the next level and compete against not only the wire services that are out there that are taking too much control of your online business, but also all of the pesky order gatherers that are actually taking money away from you in every way, shape, and form. So please feel free to reach out if you have any questions. Otherwise, I'm going to pass this back to Eric really quickly, and I hope you all have not only a wonderful day, but a happy holidays and a happy new year.
Thanks, David. While Eric is getting set back up and we're, finishing up here, I just wanted to mention that Allie posted David's cell in the chat, so it's there for you guys. David also mentioned how many cities they were going to be visiting in 2017, and some of those will be at Mayish branches, so be sure to look out for those events as we host them. We'll make sure that we post them up on the blog and social media. So I just wanted to say that was amazing, Eric. Sorry, didn't mean to call you David. Thank you so much, Eric, for all of this great information. So much to digest. I feel like we could probably do like 20 bazillion more of these little offshoots of all the different subject matters that goes into search engine optimization. We're also going to post a link real quick for the BloomNation Resource Center. Ellie, if you could do that, it's in the notes. That's another great place to find more information about SEO and some SEO articles. So be sure to check that out. Do you have any closing words, Eric?
No, I really thank you for having me on. Any way I can reach more florists, this is amazing. I love what you guys are doing. And also, like, if there are any follow-up questions, like after you post this, please let me know. I'd be happy to kind of address some of the questions directly. Like I said, if I can help even just one more florist out, that's something that I want to do. That's
Great.
better for all of us.
Thank you. And I'm apologizing for the background noise. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but apparently I work from home and my neighbors, you know, doing some power washing. Yeah. So lots of noise over here. So a big thank you to everyone that joined us today and watched our live chat. Of course, we are working on planning additional topics and working with other people and speakers. So if you have any other ideas on what you want to see or who you want to chat with, shoot me an email or let me know on social media. You guys know that I'm all over the place. You can connect with me also by using the contact form on our website, our nice new pretty website. Be sure to check it out. And as we mentioned before, we will be posting the replay of this recording on our blog probably tomorrow morning. And again, this was brought to you by me. I get to reserve your seat for our next Mayish Design Star Flower Workshop near you. Thank you again for coming, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.